1.3 is what is going on with Paleo-Indian groups on the eve of colonization. So here we're going to kind of map out those native groups to see what was here in 1492. You can see in this map, this is what they believe would have been where the groups were during that time in 1490, what we would have had. So you can see there's a lot of them. In the southwest, we have the remnants of the Hohokam, the rise of the Anasazi. You have your Pueblo builders. These are the groups that are going to come in, that the individuals who are Europeans are going to meet when they're here. So in the southwest, up here, southwest here, those are the Hispanic individuals. So Spain is going to come up through this area and explore this area. In the southeast, you have your Cherokee nations. So that's down here, Georgia, Alabama, those areas. So Cherokee nations, a lot of people looked up to the Cherokee for the strength that they had. They're very nomadic. They lived in earthen mounds, that kind of thing. In the northeast, we have the Iroquois Confederation. They're along the Great Lakes here, along the St. Lawrence River. They are very location specific, so they're not nomadic like the southeast was, and they live in long houses. So we're going to look at each of these groups. So the first group that we have is in the southwest. This is your Pueblo builders. They build out of adobe and stone masonry, like in this picture that I got from the internet. They built aqueducts. Those are still in use from the Hohokam. They have complex kinship structures. They're patrilineal, so they trace their lineage through their father. They're hunter-gatherers. Not a lot going on out in the southwest with trees or anything like that. It's very desert. So they would go out and look for food in those areas and come back. One of the primary things that they have in this area is kachina dolls. Kachina dolls are used to show family heritage, much like in medieval Europe where they had shields and they had heraldry signs that depicted their family. They would use kachina dolls for that purpose. So that is from the southwest. And you can see those groups that would have been here on the eve of colonization. In the southeast, this is where your 5 civilized tribes are. So as you can see where the Cherokee are in this map, in the creek, that area, all of this is in the southeast. The Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Creek, the Seminole, the Chickasaw, all of these groups are part of the American Southeast. Warm, temperate climate, easier for them to move around, be nomadic. They had chiefdoms and extended family units, very matrilineal for many of those, especially the Cherokee. The Cherokee very much trace their lineage through their mother. Their centers are built on earthen mounds, so this is kind of a leftover of the Mississippian culture that has come into the area. And you can see in this little round house that they have. So they're built on earthen mounds, and one of the things in the southeast that is very specific to them is bird themes. So headdresses with turkey feathers, stuff like that, like in this picture, that is from the southeast. So if you ever see a movie from that is like out west in Colorado and stuff like that, and you see, you know, big feathered headdresses, though that is not true. That did not happen. Those primarily in the American Southeast. So that is the groups that we have there. In the Northeast, all along the Great Lakes River, you have groups such as the Huron, the Iroquois, the Pokanoket, the Wampanoag. The Pokanoket is going to be very important, as in that is the group that the Pilgrims will meet. So they're all along this area, very agricultural, and they weren't as nomadic as in the southeast, so they moved between 2 camps. So they had a winter camp and they had a spring and a summer camp, and they would move between them, and they would build houses in both locations. And so they didn't take their houses with them, they just moved houses. Clan groups are usually large family units. Ownership is shared by everyone, so communal ownership. That's going to really confuse those who land in Jamestown and those who go to the Massachusetts Bay Colony, to those in Plymouth, because they don't understand it. You own your thing, and not everyone owns it, but in this these Paleo-Indian groups, these native groups, they did. They had both matrilineal clans and patrilineal, depending on who you were. The more westward you went, the more patrilineal you were. The Iroquois very much matrilineal themselves. And they have this strong oral tradition that they have of telling stories and passing down their history via these stories. So these are the three primary groups that explorers are going to come up against in North America. At the time of exploration, it's estimated that the native population in 1492 on the northern continent, that's Mexico and further, 7 to 18 million individuals. Central continent, Caribbean, 28 to 40, where it's warmer. And then in South America, about the same as North, 11 to 19 million. So we have the situation where if we average this out, about 50 million individuals. By 1650, just 150 years after that of exploration and the first Europeans landing in the Western Hemisphere, the native population is down to just 6 million individuals for all of the Western Hemisphere. 6 million, that's it. And even today, we are around 500,000 individuals left today that are considered, there's blood strong enough to be part of a native tribe. And I'm not talking about 1/12 or 1/8. These like at least 1/4 of their family is Native American. So not a lot of them left. We're going to lose quite a few of them due to many things. Death is going to come through disease primarily. Disease is the big one because they're just not set up for what is going on with us. Native Americans have a very different immune system before Europeans. When Europeans got here, we came with all kinds of diseases. Native Americans had one, and that was a sexually transmitted disease. So airborne illness is not something that they were used to, and that's just going to decimate the population. Flu, when it first hits the Native American population, yellow fever, scarlet fever, all those things are going to just kill massive amounts of Native Americans. And that's why the population dips and is so low after just 150 years. So that is where we are setting on for Native Americans. So as you can see, this will be the end. Next, what you'll do is take the Paleo-Indian Quiz 1. So, and then you'll have 4.5 days to do that. All right. Next section will be all about Europe and why we came to North America.